VIU Outdoor Recreation, Matt Kello here. Greg Cormie has challenged me to a fire lighting contest.
Hey everybody, Greg here from Outdoor Recreation. Today Matt and I are going to be challenging each other to a fire lighting competition. So together we're going to show you two different methods to come to the same result. During this event, I'm going to try to use only things that I can find on the ground and break with my hands.
Quickly on the tools, I got myself a knife, a little bush saw. We're going to do a thing on hatchets a bit later too, but a couple different hatchets here. And we'll probably at some point talk about torches because they're really handy dandy, especially when you're in the rain and in the snow when you're having a hard time lighting a fire. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and got some wood here, and you might be looking at this thinking, oh, well, Matt just went to his woodshed and got some cedar, which I did. But when I'm out camping or say sea kayaking or on a beach, cedar is readily available. You need one of these guys to sort of smash your way into a log and get into the heartwood, the wood that's not on the surface, to get at some dry cedar. Now with my knife, and I've got down to about this size, I'm going to use this to whittle off whittle off some pieces like this, right? And this will be a really good fire starter. There's some safety precautions. When I'm whittling and working with knives, I've got to be working away from me. So doing this, you can see even if I screw up or I lose control of the knife, there's nothing for me to hurt down here. So I'm away from myself and off I go. So I can just get another stick that's a bit bigger and use this on the blade of the knife, right, to knock it through and get what I wanted. There is a risk here that if you smash this too hard, you'll break it. And I've seen lots of broken knives this way from people hitting them on this side, right, trying to drive them through really big bits of wood. And that's really when you need to switch into this.
So, as you might expect, because I'm trying to only start a fire with things that I find on the ground, it means that I have to try to find dry wood, and that can be a bit of a challenge when it's raining like it is today. So I'm looking for places like little kind of drier spots on the ground underneath the forest canopy that have fallen debris that looks like super old and brittle.
To fire, I often look for fallen dead hemlock, which have a ton of little tiny branches. And if you can collect enough of these, they are awesome tinder. So here is a bunch of fallen little tiny sticks that have dried for a long time. These are going to be perfect, like sort of second tier fire starter. So I'm going to go through and collect myself a little bouquet of these fallen dried sticks. Okay, so here is another awesome find. This is some pitch off of a tree. This stuff should burn like nobody's business. Looks like an old Doug fir. I'm going to pry a bit of this off and use it in the fire starter probably.
So we're back at it. I've made a little pile of shavings, some intermediate stuff. Here's a bunch of dead sticks I've got out of the forest. I'm going to do the kind of a teepee fire, meaning I'm going to create sort of a triangle out of cedar, and that's going to be the basis for the beginning of my fire.
Okay, so here's my whole lineup of materials I'm ready to start my fire with. So my first piece is this giant bouquet of hemlock branches. I'm going to take this big old pile of hemlock branches and I'm going to break it in half a bunch of times and make a giant torch out of it. That's my plan. Next up, I have myself a piece of pitchwood. This is kind of my last ditch. It's going to for sure burn like crazy material. A smaller bundle of tiny sticks, slightly bigger, and then finally my biggest. And you can see these little sticks are still smaller than my pinky finger.
Okay, here we go. Got my lighter. Add some flame. You'll notice I'm keeping the lighter on for a while, right? Really giving it a chance to go. And that seems to be going okay. Gentle blowing. Didn't start off super uniformly. Maybe stop. Okay, added a bit more of my little cedar fuel to it. Looking pretty good. Building up my teepee. You can almost start with it like this, but I wanted to show you the beginning part, so here we are. Here we are back at it. I'm gonna stick some of my other bush fuels on now that I've got. These are the fuels I got out of the forest. See how that goes. Yeah, here we are back at it. Got some of my bush fuels going now. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Kind of keeping my shape. You know, lots of times when you're fire lighting, you got some heat, you got some good wood, you're gonna have to add some oxygen, right? That's all part of the equation. So you can see by blowing on it, that adds the oxygen and really gets it going. Okay, we're back. We've added a bunch more cedar on top of some of our bush sticks. You can see it's looking really good. Yeah, so another little tip would be create some space in here, right? There's a real tendency to smother your fire by putting too much fuel on it at once. Having some openness to it really helps it you know, get the air it needs to start drawing its own air and really burning hot. Yeah, so now we've got a nice ripping fire here. It's perfect. We're gonna cook some hot dogs on this guy a little later. And being able to light a fire in the bush is super important because it's just a great way to stay warm and enjoy your evening.
So the first thing I'm going to do is take my bouquet of hemlock branches right here, and I'm going to break it in half, and maybe even another time. So now I got something that looks like a giant bird's nest. And then I'm going to make sure that my bird's nest is really open and there's a ton of air in it. Okay. There we go, got my super bird's nest happening. Next thing up, I'm gonna try to hold it up in the air and actually sort of light it from the bottom and then work the angles and be really careful not to burn myself. Yeah, you can see it's already going pretty well, and as the fire creeps around the outside, I can rotate it so that it gets into the best possible place. I can also blow a little bit of air into the bottom. Keep it going that way. Now that it's going pretty well, I'm gonna actually put it down on the ground and start feeding more goodness right on top of it. And I'm gonna use kind of a scatter technique where I basically just put my branches down on top of it in kind of a loose method and hope for the best. Well, Kita's here to take a stick. I don't blame her, they're pretty good sticks. Okay, so now I'm just gonna give it kind of 30 seconds or so to get it to rip on, and then I'm gonna put my next layer of wood on. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good that it's time for more wood, so I'm putting my medium wood on now. And I'm gonna do the same thing I did before, which is kind of a scatter technique. Okay, got my medium-sized wood on. Time to just kind of hang tight and see what happens. I can use some, I can blow some air into the bottom of the fire if I have to keep it going if it starts to struggle at all. But this fire seems to be really going pretty well. So I'm just gonna wait a few more seconds and then put some more bigger wood on. My fire has been going for just a few minutes, and it's time to put my next layer of wood on. And we'll do the same technique I did before, just the drop of a bundle. And I do this kind of carefully. And I try to make it also fairly well stacked up on top of itself.